Big focus on Apple's much-awaited iPhone 15 launch now that it's happened in Cupertino at the Wanderlust event. We're looking at moving ahead from the kind of lightning chargers that we were used to a universal USB-C charger. And we've seen the unveiling of the new Watch Ultra 2 and the Series 9. There was a lot that was happening at the Apple annual event. How are these products priced in India? Why are we seeing so much disparity? Let's discuss this. Anant Dwivedi, technology journalist, who is with us, along with the senior managing director at Ankura Consulting, Amit Jaju, here with us as well. Great to have you both, gentlemen. Anant, now that we know that the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus, now they come at a base price of $799. There is going to be USB-C charging, which means all our lightning cables can safely be junked. Tell us what you make of their attractiveness by way of an upgrade for someone who uses an older iPhone. Does it make sense?
Well, Vikram rightly said it's almost been 11 years since we've been stuck to the lightning cable and USB 2 speeds. With USB-C coming in on the iPhone 15, I think it's a welcome change because it just makes so much sense for the entire world to have that one single charging cable. So I think USB-C makes a lot of sense. However, I feel Apple has been slightly reluctant, forced down by EU, of course, to bring in a USB-C charging port. And they've kept the iPhone 15, interestingly, at USB 2 speeds. So even though it has a USB-C charging cable, you can't take advantage of USB 3 speeds. That is something that they've reserved for the more premium Pro version, where you can even get 10 GB per second speeds. So for upgrading just for a USB Type-C port, I don't think it makes sense. There's a good chance you already have a lightning cable, an extra lightning cable. So if you have a phone with a lightning adapter, there's no reason to upgrade to Type-C just for that. However, I think there are some new features that have come in. If last year you were eyeing the iPhone 14 Pro, a lot of those features have filtered down to the iPhone 15, the base level, not the Pro version, the base version. So that's quite an enticing deal, I feel.
Amit Jaju, what do you make of the pricing? The iPhone 15 will cost 79,900 rupees. And the 15 Plus is going to start at 89,900 rupees. But there is a lot of variation in prices in how much these phones cost in India compared to the United States or the UK. And like every year, there's this big difference that continues in prices. India, Hong Kong, Dubai, the US, we're seeing a lot of variation. In India, we seem to have among the highest prices of iPhones globally. Why so much of this continued disparity, you think?
Well, Vikram, good evening. I think the pricing should get normalized soon. India is a new market for iPhone, and a lot of components are still getting imported, I think. And as we kind of bring in the entire supply chain into the country, I think the prices should go down. Interestingly, we are still hearing that people prefer to fly to Dubai and then buy iPhone, and they can still afford a full cost of a ticket and one night stay. Still, the phone is cheaper there. But there were other attractive markets like the UK where Indians used to buy iPhones. But again, since COVID, UK stopped refunding the 20% VAT to tourists. So there are only a couple of options. So whether it's Dubai or the US, and of course, Europe as well. But what I believe that Apple needs to look at the pricing very seriously and normalize it as compared to their competitors.
Anand, what's your sense of the pricing? Do you think it makes sense for someone who would go in for that upgrade to do that here in India, or then wait for someone to bring it in, or perhaps bring it in when you're traveling over there to these countries where it costs so much less?
Well, there are many ways of looking at it, Vikram. I think pricing does differ across the board, but buying it in India, I think the biggest advantages of going actually to the store, getting a feel of the device and then picking it up, that is something that is unmatched anywhere else. Like you can't just go online or I don't think flying abroad makes sense anymore because even the GST offset, if you're buying it as a business, as a digital agency, because most of these devices have gone into that category. The Pro version specifically with the new features, I mean, they're absolute great for content agencies and digital creators to just replace their main devices or camera units for these devices. And at that level, if you're buying 2, 3 devices, I think that GST offset is a big advantage with, of course, the warranty that you get in the country.
Yes, indeed. Amit Jaju, as far as the iPhone 15 is concerned, it has carried on this dual-tier chipset strategy. The standard iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus, they come with the A16 chip, which previously powered the Pro series from last year. And the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, they get Apple's cutting-edge A17 Pro chip. Is that going to be a significant bump up in performance? Will it be a much faster phone?
Well, I think the performance is kind of relative, Vikram, of what the users are using that phone for. I think even the last generation chip is good enough. But the other area we need to look at is the support for some of the services which are also important. For example, India is, I think, the fastest growing digital payments market in the world. And Samsung Pay is still not available. So though we might add more chips, but Apple Pay. And we don't have Apple Pay available in India, whereas Samsung Pay is available since 2017, where we can add all our credit cards and debit cards to our phone. And we don't need to carry any of our cards. We can just tap our phone on any payment machine, old or new, and make that payment happen. But Apple Pay, which is the equivalent of Samsung Pay, is still not available. So I'm less kind of excited about the chips. I'm more looking forward to some of these services and add-ons which are still not available in India. And Apple needs to kind of really think about bringing the entire ecosystem into the country.
So why is India getting treated so unfairly? When you talk about the entire ecosystem, Anant, why do you think there is a lag when it comes to the Indian market? Because it's quite a significant market for Apple, isn't it?
Indian market is obviously a difficult market to tackle for a premium brand like Apple. Now that with the whole creator economy booming, the need to get that one device that does it all, and iPhone for its camera capabilities being so famous across the board, has just the surge in demand has been so great for Apple that even it's something that Apple had not predicted, and therefore manufacturing in the country, bringing stores into the country, trying various features. But I actually haven't got an answer to why they are being so slow. It's Apple's own way of being a closed company in that regard. They obviously have treated always, I mean, we've felt this for 10 years. You and I know this, trying to get our hands on to the first iPad and the first iPhones from Singapore and Hong Kong and back in the day. At least we are grateful that devices are being simultaneously launched in the same country. And like the gentleman said, I completely agree. The services is something that I really feel they should consider the Indian market seriously for.
Also, when you talk about what they bring to the table this time, Amit, what about the camera? Now that the 48 megapixel main camera has become standard across all iPhone 15 models, the iPhone 15 Pro gets a better sensor. And of course, that could be a bit of a up move, one would imagine. Is that enough of an up move, you think, when it comes to cameras on iPhones and what they can do?
Sure, Vikram. I think the camera was one of the highlight features in terms of the new add-ons to iPhone 15. I was reading the survey report on cnet.com, whereas 52% users were excited about iPhone 15 and 48% were not. I think camera was the top feature that everybody thought is new. But if you look at it, a lot of users said that, I already get great photos on my phone. And these days, it's also about the processing and the AI behind the actual photograph and the image, and not so much on the hardware. And at the same time, if you look at the competitors of Apple in India, like Samsung, they already have 104 megapixels since last 3 years. So it's important to see what we get out of the combination of the hardware and software, which generally Apple is good at. But whether it will be noticeable, because at the same time, you need more storage. The more you increase the capacity of the sensor, the size of the image file becomes larger. And Apple doesn't provide add-on storage, unlike its competitors. So you can't have a SD card in Apple. So people will be forced to kind of upgrade their storage minimum to say 256 GB if they want to really make use of the larger sensor and the new capabilities of the imaging processor of Apple.
So content creation is something that we're doing a lot more of in our part of the world, Anant, and I'm just wondering in terms of the kind of possibilities that the new iPhone 15 range of phones really brings to the table. Is that going to be something that is pronounced, or do you think we are just looking at incremental changes right now and nothing big on that front is what Apple really offers, at least to Indian creators of content?
Vikram, I think this move 2 years ago of going to ProRes and this year, I'd like to just add, they still don't have expandable memory, but for the first time with USB-C coming in onto the Pro devices and the ability to record externally onto a hard disk, just like you do with a DSLR, is going to open a whole lot of new doors. And this is specifically for all the content creators who don't have DSLRs, who are taking out their phones out, going and shooting, uploading things onto the cloud. Now they can just plug in an external drive and record as much content as they want. Mark my words, within a year, we'll be seeing multicam live broadcasts from iPhones without any wires. All of it will be done wirelessly. The kind of stuff that we are doing in studios, that we are doing in outdoor broadcasts with OB vans, that will be done with 3 iPhones wirelessly connected to each other, streaming live. This is going to happen within a year.
Well, we'll see how much change that really brings to the ecosystem that we already have, and what iPhones have been able to do in the recent past and what the new series actually does. But that's for the future. For the moment, it's where we're leaving it. Anant Dwivedi, Amit Jaju, many thanks for joining us with your perspective on the iPhone 15 series that we are talking about. And we'll continue our focus on everything that's new in the tech world. Many thanks for joining us tonight.